You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Albaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Albaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Todd Albaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers, our producer and engineer. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Welcome in, everybody, to the world headquarters of Civic Media, downtown Madison on State Street, on what has turned out to be another gorgeous fall day, autumn day. It is, I know it's technically not like September 21st or 22nd. I'm calling it. I'm declaring it fall Zommers because at least here in Madison, there are places where the leaves are already turning. Kind of golden, yellow in some places. Look out the window here in State Street. Are those box out? I'm not a good enough person. Here, I see the camera is down. You talk for a second.
Yeah, I'll show the people on the stream what the camera looks like. So the Sam Davison Street Cam is currently pointed downward. Oh, that's a lot better. But you could only see the crosswalk for a second there, and that was my fault. I set it up the Sam Davison Street Cam today. But now you can actually see some of the trees Todd was talking about.
My partner fell off my perch there. I had to go, look at that beautiful Sam Davison Street Cam there. I can see just a little bit of yellows in the leaves, so autumn is upon us. It's that time of year. Brewers, by the way, the boys of summer are turning into the boys of fall. They are back underway tonight against the Los Angeles Angels. Game time at 6:35 for the first pitch. You can hear the pregame show starting at 6:05 on select stations of Civic Media. And as Letterman says, I hope one of yours has been selected. And if you live in Richland Center, it has on WRCE, WISS in Oshkosh. Also, our new station up there in Hayward, not new station anymore, but new Brewer affiliate this year up in Hayward, WBZH. The buzz of the North. The Brewers back underway this afternoon. Big show today. Hope you stick around. In hour number 2, going to have Pete Schwaba, our old friend, host of Nightlight here every evening from 6 until 8. Great reporter, great entertainment guy, actor, writer. He does it all. Pete's going to be here to talk about the passing of a Hollywood legend. In case you didn't hear today yet, this morning it was announced through his agent that Robert Redford, the great Robert Redford, has passed away, 89 years old. Did not quite understand or know that he was quite that old, but 89 years old. Going to talk about connections to Wisconsin and the great life and times of Robert Redford in hour number 2. Also, what's worse for you today, called subscriptions or purchases. We'll get into that a little bit as well. And maybe some time to hear from Jim Nance on, we were going to do this last week, but news of the week kind of bumped it, appropriately so, unfortunately. But now maybe it's more pertinent than ever, and that has to do with, is it really necessary for all of us to take a hot take? So all of that and much, much more coming up later on this show. But here's where I want to begin today, folks. It happens to be National Suicide Prevention Month. Great story last week in the Milwaukee Journal. Great reporting, I should say, by Natalie Eilbert. Headline, suicide rates in Wisconsin have risen 15% in the last decade. Why do they keep going up? We'll repeat this throughout the hour, but if you or someone that you know needs to talk, and it might not specifically about suicide, self-harm, maybe just very, very depressed, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, Healthline is 988. You can simply text or call 988. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, somebody is standing by. So according to this article, the Journal Sentinel, suicide rates in Wisconsin rose by 15% over the last decade, continuing an alarming rise throughout this century. And by the way, if you're listening and you think, I don't want to talk about this, it's too depressing, just, as my grandparents used to say, hold your horses. Going to give you some facts. Going to bring in our friend Sabin here in a minute and have a little fun, but some seriousness, and give you ways to, we all need this right now, everybody, including me. The world is on fire, or we feel like it, as Kira says. and she's going to tell us how to kind of dampen that fire a tad. Back to the story. A new report from Prevent Suicide Wisconsin, published September 4th, captured the mental health fallout of the COVID pandemic, ongoing political division, and financial distress. Further, it noted the impact of shrinking social networks, empty or shuttered community centers, and wayward trust in institutions, all of which can contribute to despair. By the end of 2023, U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy saw social disconnectedness as a burgeoning public health crisis with psychological consequences, and the loneliness epidemic became a household phrase. The factors leading to suicide are complex. It may be tempting to say mental health issues are the main contributing factors for these preventable deaths, but the September 4th report emphasized likely issues such as poverty, violence, historical and childhood traumas, environmental hazards, and even natural disasters have played roles in the suicide rates that plague Wisconsin. This is interesting and important. Firearms continue to be the most common and fatal method of suicide deaths. Women are far likelier than men to end up in hospitals and emergency departments for self-harm injuries. And catch this, all of our folks in rural Wisconsin, rural areas have disproportionately higher rates of suicide than urban regions of the state. Between 2014 and 2023, indigenous people in Wisconsin died by suicide at disproportionate rates than that of other racial groups. By the way, it replaced whites in Wisconsin as having the highest rates. Lesbian, gay, and bisexual youth, too, are contemplating suicide at rates far higher than the average youth population. Under the what can be done category, and I this is important, this is where I want to go with Kira. Working with faith-based and cultural organizations is a part of a major plan of action at Prevent Suicide Wisconsin. It's about mending those frayed pathways to real-life connections, whether it's in the workplace, schools, community spaces, or houses of worship. Again, that's from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel from last week, September 9th. Want to talk all of this about this with our guest today. First hour, she's been on the program before, a positivity psychology midlife coach. She's also a podcaster. You can find her at thrivewithkira.com or on the socials, simply at thrivewithkira, K-I-R-A, or thrivewithkira.com. Joining us via StreamYard, Kira Sabin. Kira, how in the world are you, my friend?
I've been better. You?
Kind of the same, but now, but see, this is why when Kira and I get and in full disclosure, people who watch this show know this, we've basically been lifelong friends, our families and whatnot, grew up in the same town. I can laugh and smile and find reasons for joy when I talk with you, even about difficult topics. And I think at the end of the day, isn't that what a lot of this segment is about?
Absolutely. I think that we want to think that we are in unprecedented times, and unfortunately, we're not.
Mm.
And that's kind of what I came here to talk about today, is seeing the balance, seeing the joy even in the tough, and remembering to connect, reach out, and create community, because that's the only way I think we're out of this mess.
I totally agree. And again, listeners of this program probably know this, but for those that might be new to the show, Kira and I have known each other our whole lives. We're always on the same political side of the fence. Back when the days I was a Republican.
Yes. I was like, let's clarify which one of us. Sorry.
Right. But Kira's been enormously helpful in my life, and there have been points in my life. It's kind of like I think there's a song about this, but it's like a rock in a stream, right? I guess it's from Wicked, right? Where the courses are changed. You can't undo that. And I think this weekend, now I know, Kira provided me with one of those rocks in a stream type of moment when you posted on your Instagram page, Kira, really great post. And that's the whole thrust of today with you. You start out by saying, right now, the world is on fire. Something we can forget is this: Every single day, wonderful and horrible things happen. But in our world, in our lives, both truths exist. Always. And that's where it begins. And this was a real watershed moment, not just for me, but for this program. And it made me rethink or reevaluate where we were going with this show. And I said yesterday, openly on this show, look, I don't have the bandwidth, we don't have the staff at this show to handle every single thing that comes out of the news fire hose and fact check that, because it used to be right. Oh, well, if the Department of Labor Statistics says this, it must be true. And I don't want to make this overtly political, but with the people in charge now in D.C., that is no longer the case. So we essentially have to fact check everything we bring on this program, and it can be overwhelming. And I forget, there's also great things happening in each of our neighborhoods, Kira.
I think it's very interesting. And, I think, Todd, you and I over the years have talked about this before. But it gets really easy to focus only on what we see or what's only feeling like it's personally affecting us. But we forget that there are beautiful and absolutely awful things that happen in this world every day, whether it's personally to somebody, whether it's societally or culturally. We might have had a good 4 years or whatever, and we think, oh, wow, my life's going okay. The person who I voted for is at the office, like, life's okay. The thing is that's not true. And that's not bad or good. It just is. But I think that there is a really, really smart realization when we realize this is the way it's always been. There is always going to be push and pull. There's always going to be progress and then people pulling back on it. This is the way it's always been. And when we forget that, when we go, this is the worst, this is awful, we forget to look around on a day-to-day basis for joy, for connection, for community, all the things that absolutely existed 1 year ago, all the things that existed 10 years ago, all the things that existed 100 years ago. We are just in cycles. We are in seasons. And we will make it through this cycle and we will make it through this season.
It's such an important reminder, because I heard a lot of people last week, even still this week, saying things after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, such as, there will never be another outdoor political event ever again. This is going to stop. Well, really? You think that's what people say? I mean, did we say when JFK got shot in a parade in Dallas, we'll never have another parade in the world again? When Martin Luther King got shot, outside, we'll never have another outdoor political thing. When we had 100,000 protesters at the state capitol during Act 10, people were saying the public will never ever be able to get into the. So you're so right that in the moment we focus on the now and the dread, and we almost like, I'm not self-fulfilling, but we just kind of like forward it and say, well, it'll never get better. And that's freaking depressing.
And because if we don't have hope, we don't have much, right? Like, hope is what keeps us going. Hope is what keeps us motivated. Hope is what has us reaching out, connecting, and then fear has us shut down, avoiding. And, if we're talking about, although I would not say that suicide is a topic I talk about regularly, if we're talking about suicide, it's people who feel alone.
Right.
It's people who feel like they don't have other people.
We're going to come back.
So if we want to start changing this.
Come back, talk more with Kira Sabin in just a minute. Don't worry, we're not Pollyanna here. Believe me, Kira does not look at the world through rose-colored glasses. We're going to get real, but we're also going to give us some ways why we can understand how we feel and how we get better. Don't go anywhere. It's the Almost Show on Civic.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead, and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Town Almost Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. That's what happens when a dyslexic guy tries to read something and do something else at the same time.
Do you want to do over on that one?
Yeah, can you just start the whole show? No, I'm just kidding. We're fine. Well, I was reading, actually, Kira and I during the break, and you can tune in, Facebook, StreamYard, Twitter, X, Twix, whatever you want to call it, and watch the video of the show. And we leave the curtains open. If the neighbors want to look in, that's fine, and they can see what we're doing during the break. And I was telling Kira for her, sadly we don't write her a check when she comes on, but I said I got to take you and your wonderful husband Danny out to dinner, and so she suggested the Harvey House here, very Tony Place in Madison. I said, well,
I've been there
okay.
once.
Have you really?
What?
I
A
have.
Tony place?
It's kind of Tony. I mean, it's kind of upscale. I mean,
What
it's
is? It is. It is.
I don't
know
I've never
what-
heard the expression Tony
really.
place. That's
You never
amazing.
heard that before?
No.
All right.
No.
Our friend and colleague Jeff Perry, ongoing contributor on Facebook, says, "How about Arby's?"
We have the meats.
Yes, absolutely. We
Thanks,
have,
Jeff. Thanks for looking out for me.
Kira Sabin, positive psychology, midlife coach, and podcaster extraordinaire with us. You can find her all of her work at Thrive with Kira on the socials, or her website is thrivewithkira, KIRA.com. Let's get this in quickly because I don't want to run out of time. You have a workshop going on. These are tremendous. They're retreats. They're predominantly focused on women. I think you got a couple of spaces left. If people listen and say, I want to spend more time with Kira because she can help me, I can tell you she can. How do they find out?
Yeah, Thrive with Kira has all the information. I run a great midlife program. It's 6 months long. We really dig in together. It starts off with a 5-day retreat here in Madison. And then we do 6 months of building self-worth, boundaries, emotional regulation, all the kind of things that they've discovered, but we never learned as kids in our Gen X lives. So it just helps us be able to deal with life better because,
Yeah.
as we know, it can be tough.
It
And if you're a woman in midlife, it can be hormonally very tough. So
I obviously don't understand that, but as a guy, but no, I live vicariously through you and my sister. So there you go. Kira, by the way, it is National Mental Health Awareness Month. Also talking about death by suicide, Wisconsin, but that's not the focus of this segment. Really, it hit me, this Kira's post over the weekend on Instagram, just recognizing that the world can feel on fire right now. And it's not just the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which is horrible and terrible, but everything that surrounds that, other crises that seem to be going on a daily basis. Kira, you've talked to us before that physiologically, our brains are literally not wired to handle a crisis every day like this. And you give us some tips on recognizing some things, and then we're going to move into how we can address that, how we can feel better. So let's start off with this. Just you lay it out there. Some moments just land heavy on us.
So I would love to read a little bit of this. Yeah,
Please.
because I did this post.
Yep.
It's because I saw chaos online, right? And although I'm not always a big fan of social media, I am there because it's my business. I'm talking to women and different people. But it just made me see people were fighting, people were yelling at each other. And I just held up this little mirror to say, whether this impacts you personally or not, like, this is what always is. So some moments land heavy on us, others pass us by, and most we don't even know happen at all, right? Around the world, there's so many things happening that we don't know about because we only catch a fraction of what this world holds, right? Like, we might have the best day ever and our neighbor might have lost a pet and is crying, right? Like, we don't really know. And at any given moment, someone feels like they never stop crying. And at the same time, someone else is discovering that they can laugh again. It's always going to be hard. And we just have to notice the good because every single day holds so much beauty. Art is being created, songs are being sung, friendships are beginning, love is unfolding, silliness and happy accidents happen. Animals making us smile, trees being planted, stories being told, sunsets being watched, ideas being shared, strangers helping strangers. And I'm sharing all of that because I have a background in positive psychology. And the greatest thing about positive psychology is not Pollyanna, everything's fine. It's making sure you notice the good because our brains naturally go to the bad.
Yeah.
There's something called negativity bias. It is a cognitive bias. And because of the way our brains have evolved from early on, we are constantly scanning for bad. It's just what our brains do to protect us, to keep us safe. But that means that we can get really stuck in the bad, where all we're seeing is bad. All we're focusing on is bad. We surround ourselves with these heavy things all the time. And as you mentioned, which is one of my favorite things, we almost become self-fulfilling prophecies.
Mhm.
If all we see is badness and hate in the world, then all you will see is badness and hate in the world. And you will probably be impacted by the badness and the hate.
And
But every day there's good too.
agree or disagree, the people that
Okay.
write the algorithms for social media out there, let alone the bots, as they call them, from China and Russia that are literally programmed, they know what you just said. And these algorithms
Mhm.
tap in on our sense of dread and just obsessing. Agree or disagree? And that only makes the problem worse.
Absolutely. And as people, we have to get better than it. We have to be a little bit smarter than some algorithm,
Mhm.
right? If social media doesn't feel good, get off social media. I will say I am not on Facebook anymore. I felt like crap every time I was on there. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to find a way to connect with the people I want to connect there in different ways, right?
Mhm.
We have to be thoughtful to where we put our time, where we put our energy, who we're giving it to. And it gets really, really easy with our news cycle, with everything else, to get swept up in it. But they're not spending their time talking about all the good things too.
We've only just begun our conversation with positive psychology midlife coach Kira Sabin. We're going to look at history, why we feel this way, and give you tips, Kira will, on how we move past it, how we move on, how we move forward positivity and feel better about ourselves. Don't go anywhere. Farm News is next. It's the Almost Show on Civic Media. Welcome back to the Town Ball Show on Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. 35 minutes now past the hour of 2 o'clock. Zombers dialing up little Judy Garland, the original, Somewhere Over the Rainbow from Wizard of Oz. Makes my sister very happy. That's for sure. But I think that's appropriate
sure.
because I think a lot of us out there we get stuck in what we think is dread, and you can't even handle reality. And you think someday things have to get better. And here to help explain all that and walk us through it, because things right now, as she has said, it can feel like the world is on fire. And yes, part of that's the context of the assassination of Charlie Kirk last week, but also just the constant fire hose, as they say, of information. It just comes out so quickly and so fast that we cannot handle it all, and it becomes overwhelming. And we started off this hour by this great article in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel by Natalie Eilbert, that Wisconsin death by suicide rates have risen by 15% in the last decade. And this is not a specifically suicide prevention episode, but it's relatable. And part of that is just how we take care of our mental health in this Mental Health Awareness Month. And here to walk us through it, continue to walk us through it, Kira Sabin, positive psychology midlife coach. She also has a podcast called Rom-Com Rescue. Check that out. That's a lot of fun. You can find her and all of her work at Thrive with, spelled out, Thrive with Kira, KIRA.com. Would encourage you to go there. Terry Barr, watching on YouTube, says Kira is a mental health rock star. 100%. Thanks. I appreciate that, Terry. I totally agree. Kira joining us via StreamYard. Kira, we left off before Pam Yonke, and you said, look, remember this. Even in the hardest seasons, there's always plenty of good, whether we personally see it or not. And if you look back at history, Kira, whether we might not feel like it or not, things have been worse.
Things have been way worse.
As it turns
I
out.
don't know. I don't know about you, Todd, but I actually was never really a history person. You know, my mom was a teacher. She loves going to museums and touring all of the houses and architecture, but I was never into history. But something happened in 2020. Just a sidestep here. Clearly COVID.
Mm.
And all of a sudden I had a lot more time on my hands because my husband Danny was home. And so we just got really sucked into the American Experience on PBS, which are these like mini documentaries that just talk about what happened in America and how. And we started watching a lot of them, and it was a wake-up call to me because it was that moment to go, oh, this thing that I think is only happening right now, that's happened before.
Yeah.
many times, right? The very things that sometimes we're fighting for right now has happened before many times. And, the fact that we have indoor plumbing and live past 40 is a gift that 100 years ago our great
Yeah.
grandparents didn't even have. So, I mean, there is a point where we have to see where our focus is. We have so many conveniences and beautiful things on our day, but it is amazing how what we focus on is what we'll get. And yeah, so I was just telling you guys in that whatever, and this is pretty nerdy because I listened to a podcast about it years ago, but that they talk about the worst year in history that they
The
can
worst
could
year ever.
find
All right.
in the world, and it's year 536, and there was
AD.
a volcano. Oh, AD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sorry. There was a huge volcano eruption, possibly from Iceland, right? So it created a full like volcanic winter, and they didn't have sun for 18 months. There was no
18
sun
months.
around the world for 18 months. There was an extreme cold because there was no sun. So coldest decade in 2300 years. They had total famine and hardship because of course they can't grow anything when
Right.
there's no sun. There was a huge spread of disease. And basically societal collapse besides it. So this looks pretty good
Right.
compared to year 536. No, I mean that's obviously an extreme
Mhm.
example. But if we do look back in history, we see the patterns and we see the repetitions and we see the push and pull. And I think that even in a time where we are being pulled back,
Mhm.
we will always progress forward.
Yeah.
We will always have new things and great things and hope. And in, there's always been cycles of struggle, of fear, of hate, of greed, of prejudice, of injustice. That's always happened. It's probably always going to be happening. I wish I could say that that wasn't, but there's always been cycles of resilience, creativity, progress, and love.
Yeah.
These things are always happening.
I think
And
that's
that's what makes life beautiful.
I think that again, we might say, well, yeah, I know that, but we need the reminders of people like you to say, just pump the brakes here, buddy, because we're not necessarily going off of a cliff, although there are bad things in the world. But I love the earlier point that when we're celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, whatever it might be, and we think, this is the best day of my life. Somebody in another part of the state, another part of the country, of the world is literally having the worst day of their life, and they think the world is going to hell. It can't get any worse than this. And that all
Absolutely.
coexist together. And you point out here that every generation has also created beauty, joy, community right in the middle of all those storms.
Absolutely. And we're not meant to take it all on. And where we are not helping ourselves is our 24-hour news stations, social media, where we see people who we love and have been friends with for maybe years, like saying things that we don't agree with. This this is different than we've ever had. And I do want to remind everybody, we have the option to turn it off. We have the option to look away. I am on my favorite social media is Instagram, and I can promise you it is all animals, particularly kittens, and happy videos. That's it. That's the only thing that I allow like on my feed. And so it gives me a warm fuzzy feeling instead of, "Oh my god, am I, do I want to wake up tomorrow?"
We're talking with
And
Kira Sabin, positive psychology midlife coach. You can find her at thrivewithkira.com. Go ahead, Kira. And just for folks that we're kind of turning the corner now into, and this is another great part of this. We do have control over some of this stuff that we take. Well, you got control over a lot of it, but we're getting into what we can do to make ourselves feel better health wise. Go ahead.
yeah, I'd love to talk for a second about the happiness set point. I
Mhm.
wasn't even going to bring this up, but I think it's really appropriate here. So, about 20 years ago, they started doing work about what makes us happy, right? That's what positive psychology is. It's basically like, what's the science of making us happy?
Mhm.
And only 10% of our happiness comes from external things: money, our career, our relationships, politics, our world. Only 10% of our happiness comes
Wow.
from that.
Mhm.
The rest of it comes from where we put our time, where we put our focus, who we spend our time with,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And if we're doing things that light us up and feel good.
Right. And just to be very personal for a second, I won't want to go deep into it because we've mentioned it before, but there was a period in my life where I was very depressed and very down and things were not good. And Kira took time to talk with me and she's like, why you give me all these reasons that you're making up to put yourself in this position? Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you putting yourself in a position where you're hanging out with someone who is making you feel like crap? And that was a difficult moment, but a light bulb moment, and it changed a lot of where I was at in that point in my life.
I think that virtually everybody listening on a Tuesday afternoon is probably an adult, and we can feel very tied to family. We can feel very tied to our commitments, but we do have the power at the end of the day to say, if something doesn't feel good, we can speak up about it. We can walk away from it. We can talk about it with someone. Like, it doesn't have to stay this way.
Yeah.
And the biggest things that I can't, let me tell you, like, I have to keep my eye on, not a ton of politics, or I won't even want to get out of bed, right? Like, it's not like I don't feel it too.
Mhm.
But it is amazing how when I spend my time with people I love, putting my time and energy in things that I love, that I value, that I think are important, not much has really changed.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing is that I think that when we are concerned and worried about rights being taken away, volunteer. Find the organizations that you care about. If you are worried about LGBTQIA plus rights, go volunteer at that organization. See if there's something that you can do to help. Put some money, put some time in, right? People might be losing their funding. That's okay. We can help fund, right? People cannot take away our joy. They cannot take away our hope. And the minute they do, then they have really won.
Clip that. We're using that right there because you nailed it. You nailed it, Kira, as you do. It's easy to feel terrible when you say, oh, look at the what? Oh, look at that. Oh. But when you get off your butt, I'm looking at myself and go out and volunteer. If you're doing something, it might be small in the large scope of things, but when you do something, you know you're moving the cause forward. And that's great for our mental health.
Absolutely. And so those organizations or those groups that you're worried about, find time and help them. And there's so many ways to do that.
Right.
Right? If you don't have the time, you might have the finances. If you don't have the finances, you might have the time or the energy, or can donate things. Like, there are 1,000 things that we can do. And what happened is we got a little lazy about it. And we just kind of hoped that everybody else was going to take care of the stuff.
Yeah.
And right now we have a wake-up call to say, we're going to have to get back in there. We're going to have to get back in and help those in need. We're going to have to get back in and make the world a better place if we have people who are not wanting to do that for us.
Talking to Kira
We have
Sabin.
that ability all day.
Talking to Kira Sabin, positive psychology midlife coach. You can find her work at thrivewithkira.com. Back into this great Insta post over the weekend, Kira. You talk about and what we can take on, what we can control is how we respond to the part of life that touches us. And I think this is so important. Get about 2 minutes, by the way, before our next break. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I think it's just so important for us to realize that what's actually happening to us, what we can control, that's where our power is. Right? Right now, you and I, Todd, probably are not making a huge impact on national or global politics. Right?
Agreed.
But I can certainly volunteer and make somebody's day better. I can sit down and have a conversation with a stranger that might light up their day and make, we have no idea what's going on. But I can promise us scrolling or fighting on social media isn't going to save the world. It's not even going to change minds because we really can't change people out of their values.
Yeah.
We can't change it out of their fears. And that's what's going on here. So what we can do is put our time and our energy into what we believe in, what we think. We put our money there too, right? Find the organizations, find the companies that go along with what you value, put money in them. That's how we make change.
Well, I'll read a couple of these going on the way out to the break. I'm going to have to buy Danny and Kira an extra drink at Harvey House because I'm going to ask her to come back after this. But she asks these important questions. Do we give into fear or do we cultivate hope? Do we spread hate or practice compassion? Stay divided or reach for connection? Shut down or stay present, close our hearts or open them wider, react with anger or respond with curiosity and questions, disconnect or reach out, build walls or build bridges. That's healthy stuff, you guys. And Kira's going to come back. We're going to discuss it on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Kira Sabin, Todd Albaugh, and you across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
She may have been a small-town girl. I was a small-town boy. But for 17 years plus, she's been helping people build more joy, love, connection, self-worth, and purpose in their lives. She is our guest today, Kira Sabin, positive psychology midlife coach, podcaster extraordinaire. You can find all of her work at Thrive with Kira, K-I-R-A, thrivewithkira.com. Mental Health Awareness Month here. And talking about the world seems like it's on fire right now, if you watch the news. But there's so many things that we can do to change our psyche, Kira. And you write in this great post on Insta this week, I want to pick up there with the time we have left. You write, every single day we have a choice. What are you choosing? Great question.
We cannot. Yes. What are we choosing? Because we do. We choose who we spend time with. We choose where we put our energy and our thoughts even, right? And our minds. We get to decide. We can't control all of these huge things, but we can control our life, the people around us, and we can make an impact that can ripple out and truly change the world. I don't come on here every day like you do, Todd, and amazingly, inspire people through conversations around politics and what's going on in the world. I do it by working with people one-on-one or in small ways in hopes that as they heal, it'll ripple out. But I even just think our own self-work and our own work that we're doing, with our family or around us, those are what make huge impacts. That's how we change the world.
100%. You write in your post, positive psychology reminds us we can't stop horrible things from happening, but we can shape our response and create purpose, connection, love, and resilience in the process. And when we choose differently, we don't just change our lives, we ripple it forward for our children, our communities, and our future. And that's what's exciting, Kira, is that when you do something for someone else, you have a good effect on somebody else, it generally makes us feel better about ourselves, does it not?
Absolutely. I don't have I like to have little percentages, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but there is science behind when we do just a random act of kindness. Not only are we making somebody else's day better, it also kind of comes back to us. So both people win, not just one. And the more and more that we do that, the more and more we make a positive impact. I think that what's happening right now is we see a lot of fear. We see a lot of unknowns and a lot of people just scared. And that's its own, that's why it's called terrorism, right? That's its own thing, is to make people scared, because then they'll do what you want them to do. Well, I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to go after joy. I'm going to go after community. I'm going to go after connection. I'm going to do the things in this amazing state that we call home, that we have been doing for years, and our grandparents and our great-grandparents and everything else, helping farmers take care of each other, right? You and I both grew up in a small town. My grandmother had a farm that I would help with on the weekends. This is the way it's always been, and we've just lost our way a little bit, and we stopped seeing the way that we connect and started seeing what divides us.
And it isn't part of that because of our intake predominantly on the internet, but also television and radio, news, newspapers, that what gets clicked, what people, advertisers want to advertise around too often is the negative. That's what sells, as they say. And I firmly believe, because I've traveled the state, that there is also an appetite for, again, not Pollyannish, the world is what rose-colored glasses, but just talk about there are good things happening in each of our communities across this state.
I mean, we have fried cheese curds, people. This is our gift to the world.
Right?
Any life cannot be horrible when there is fried cheese curds. I'm sorry for those who are dairy sensitive.
Yes.
But we are so lucky to live in such a great time. As a woman, I see that I have rights that my mom didn't have, that my grandmother didn't have. And although those rights are being threatened right now, I still have them, and I'm going to use them for good.
Yeah.
And I guess I just want to I wanted to come on, Todd, and just say that as people are listening and it gets really easy to get just down in the muck during these times, what can you do for good? What do you have control over? Where are you putting your time? Right? Because if it's online and you go to bed feeling awful every day, or waking up at 3 a.m. with your mind spinning about what terrible thing you're going to read tomorrow, step back. I promise the world's going to keep on going, whether you're reading it 5 times a day or more, right? It's going to keep on moving.
Kira writes, because every day, all around this world, wonderful and horrible things will always happen. They have always existed, and they will probably always exist. What we can change is us. Every day we have a choice. Choose kindness. Choose connection. Choose love. Choose joy. Kira, I can't think of a better advice than that.
I just think that that's where our happiness is. I think that that's what they have now scientifically proven makes us feel good. And if the world is not going to give us that, then we have to look for ways to find it, find that joy in our day, to find that community and connection. And I think that's how we heal the world. And I think that that's how we even politically change things in the future.
I got to clean it up for radio, but Kira reminds us on her post, stop the ridiculousness. Let's live like we freaking mean it. That's so good. Let's live. Let's grasp it all, right, Kira?
Absolutely. I mean, I luckily grew up during the time of
30 seconds.
Dead Poet Society, Nuwanda, I think, or
right?
Carpe Diem.
Carpe
this
Diem.
Is all we get.
Seize the day.
Where are you putting your time?
Kira Sabin, you can find all of her work at thrivewithkira.com. Look her up. She's a fantastic person, great professional that can help you out. Thanks, Kira. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Todd.
Stay tuned. Hour number 2 is straight ahead. What's worse? And also, don't stop believing, because Pete Schwab is in hour 2 as well.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.